So I want to start out with the fact that this modular mission system has been planned and was scheduled on a roadmap like 2-3 years ago. I think sometime before the pandemic, and they're finally sharing it with us now. And everyone, like, we're watching this really early in the stream because everyone keeps spoiling me. Apparently, there's some Easter egg or some crap with me in the video, and then the beginning of the video people are commenting about a lot too. So I want to get into it before I get spoiled anymore because I haven't watched it yet. So let's check out Inside Star Citizen Mission to Module.
Hey, before we get on to the normal business of Inside Star Citizen this week, we wanted to take a moment and recognize and acknowledge what's currently happening with the live gameplay experience. Obviously, anyone that's been following the project for any period of time knows that running a live gameplay environment throughout the process of development is an unusual, sometimes trying, but often rewarding experience. But it's not just the tremendous work of our developers that make this possible. It's also the continuing commitment of you, our players, that allow us to test things at scale. Because it's often easy to forget that with the hype and excitement of a new release, that every level of Star Citizen is a development and testing platform, even the live alpha. Now,
It's always the same message, always, every time. And nothing's changed. I've heard this 100 times, so I don't understand why anyone's making a big deal about this, other than the fact that it's, like, obviously genuine.
even knowing that the launch of Alpha 318 was going to be rougher than normal, I think it's fair and safe to say that we were all hoping for a somewhat smoother experience than the one that you have been finding the last week. Now, while I'm going to continue pointing you to the amazing efforts of our platform team, the player experience team, and especially the community team in updating you on the continuing progress through the website and socials, because quite frankly, they're far more plugged into those things than I am and will have much better information than I ever will. We did feel it was important to acknowledge the current state of things at the top of this show, whose story was set weeks and months before. I said it on SCL, and I'll say it again here. We don't just share in the victories with each and every one of you. We're often right there with you with the same thoughts and the same feelings about our disappointments. We're sorry for the rough launch, but I hope you can see the determination and the dedication of those people working to improve things in the improvements that are being made each and every day this week, and will continue until we get things where we want them to be. So with that said,
This wasn't the launch of 318. Period. Like, they needed more concurrency, so they pushed it live. And just like Jared said, the game is not done, and they're going to use every aspect of the game to test it and make it better. Anyone who's freaking out about the idea, that 318 is, like, people are getting upset about 318 and the state of it. Like, yes, this is the worst launch we've ever had. Period. There's never been a worse experience in game than right now, and I don't know what to really say outside of the fact that the end result of all this is just a better situation. So I'm not sure why we're like getting super upset about it. It just comes down to they did what they needed to do to make this a better experience in the long run. And the short-term suffering that we have now is just the typical thing that everyone goes through. They're feeling it now. They're complaining about it now. They're mad about it now, or they're whatever about it now. But if you look past all of this to see, like, the actual results of 318, if you can get in a decent server, or if you've tried it in the PTU, you can kind of see that all this is worth it. And you just hope that, like, I don't expect 318.1 to be much better of an experience than you have once you get into the game. But I also expect this to gradually get better over time. And, we're going to go through this again with server meshing. Hopefully not this bad. But yeah, again, all this is like super exciting and super positive because people are so excited to play the game and so interested in it.
Let's get started with this week's show. Since the launch of the Persistent Universe in December 2015, mission gameplay has been at the center of the Star Citizen experience. Whether that's doing someone a favor and investigating a few ICC probes, delivering an important package from one planet to the next, or infiltrating a gang of would-be ne'er-do-wells in efforts to keep Stanton safe, missions often push players forward into areas they might not otherwise have discovered and pull them deep into the scandalous underbelly of the star system. And over the years, through the work of the mission feature team, missions have continued to evolve into a modular system that allows for designers anywhere in any studio to create missions not in the weeks and months of 2015, but in the mere days of 2023. So on this week's Inside Star Citizen, let's learn a bit more about how that modular system works, the technical complexities that make it possible, and take a peek at some of the new modules currently in development for Alpha 3.19 and beyond.
Now, before we get into what it actually is now or what it's going to be or whatever, the impression that I always had with the modular system was the idea of, well, you have delivery missions, you have bounty missions, you have bunker missions, whatever. You have a bunch of different missions, and the modular system would create enough variety to make it not feel repetitive. If you've ever played Star Citizen, it's awful. Repetitive missions. Super, super bad. Hold on, I gotta let the cat out.
Go ahead, you can do it.
I can do it.
Missions matter. No, missions modules. Elliot Maltby.
Mission modules, you're at scene 5.
Mission modules, Lars, scene 5. Always wanted to do that.
She closed the door by accident on herself.
At the very beginning, the early days, everyone was just coming up with missions, right?
What we used to have to do is have a bespoke mission for every mission we had.
Someone might have built it to act this way, and then another person might have built it to act this way, but in a completely different way.
So one person would start like a delivery mission, would have to write it from beginning to end, and then some other person would write a bounty mission from beginning to end, and then another delivery mission, again, from beginning to end. And the problem with that situation was that everyone wrote their scripts differently.
Each mission, while might have similarities, every bit of logic was different in some way.
We are a game that constantly evolves, that constantly gets updated, so things break sometimes.
We used to get
I already don't like where this is going. This is just the how we do it behind the scenes thing.
bugs back, which was like, oh, that when we enter the action area for this mission, this happens, but it wouldn't happen on the other one, even though they're functionally doing the same thing.
Everything was built in a different way, and so everything also needed to be fixed individually.
It was a lot of reworking and redoing and over again, and eventually that could not be scaled up anymore.
In a game like Star Citizen, where we really want to populate the entire universe with missions, we can't really do that. We have to come up with a different solution.
We don't need all these people working on all these things all over the place if we can have more of a unified approach towards it.
That's where mission modules come in.
So the answer to this, to fix all of those issues, is a more modular system. This is where we identify key functionality between missions and plug them all together and make it all operate under one module. This means that when we get a bug, it is likely that every other mission will experience this bug and we can fix it. So we have...
That's cool. So yeah, I know, like, do you guys remember like the 890 jump mission or the the Caterpillar mission, right? Like those are their own mission, like they're all by themselves. So doing this all modularly should be good. I don't know. My one question, and I don't think they're going to answer it, is like, are we already there? And how long have you been working on it? Or is everything transferred over to this system? And yeah, like, are we already reaping the benefits from
modules and submodules, and there is no end to that. You can keep putting them inside of each other. But on the high level, we have what are called wrapper modules. So some of the different wrapper modules are like delivery missions.
Your typical delivery mission is pick up a box and then deliver the box in another location, which has certain variations.
So we have ones that are called multi-stop, which are essentially here's 5 boxes, here's the pickup locations, and here's all the drop-off locations. The player can decide in what order they want. There are the linear wrapper module, which is we give you 1 box and you have to deliver that before we then give you the next box.
Infiltrate and Defend has like various subtypes and different variations that we can...
But again, this is, like, when I talk about Star Citizen, I talk about it in, like, being in its proof of concept state. Like, they pretty much just left it there. And went, that's all we got. So you got multiple boxes, you choose where you go when you want to go, and then you have 1 box. And that's pretty much it. And they haven't added to it since 3.11 for the most part. I think they've added rep to them in 3.17, maybe 3.16. I can't remember. But there's not a lot going on with those. And then, you know, as they go down the line with these, you'll see the similarities of that. Like, even with missions, it still feels like they're in their kind of like infancy. What's up, Lars? Sorry, I paused on you.
To achieve.
You've got eliminate all missions, or you've got eliminate specific missions, or even an eliminate boss mission where players must neutralize the grunts first, and then afterwards, a boss shows up, and that's the eliminate target.
And those are all the submodules of the infiltrate and defend type, and we're still making more. Then there's the bounty hunting modules.
Our bounty missions are quite well known. The most basic version is you accept a contract, it tells you where the bounty is, you travel there and you take it out, which then can be modified in like several variations.
It consists of the synced assassinations. It's the group bounties where you have 3 different bounties at different locations you have to get to and kill. It's the Idris event where you have to go and kill an Idris with potentially multiple people you don't know. And when the ability to capture people comes online, we'll add even more modules to help support this.
So what we're working on
That'll
now
be cool
is resource collection missions. That includes salvage and mining missions.
We're even going to be adding classic things like someone wants 40 pieces of wheat and you have to go and find that and bring that back to them. All of these things we're looking into investigating, hopefully you'll see soon.
That's interesting. Farming?
No, Reddit, that's just an example. We're not actually going to collect wheat.
But why not?
So let's dive deeper into submodules, and let's use one that looks relatively simple, the delivery module. The delivery module uses a wrapper called the multi-stop delivery. So when that fires, that starts something called the initialized delivery loop. The initialized delivery loop reads parameters that designers give us, say how many boxes they want to be delivered. For this example, let's say 3. So those 3 boxes would start 3 individual round deliveries. Now, a round delivery will care and track the progress of a singular box and its journey from point A to point B. So then after that round delivery has booted up and it has all the information, that then goes, right, now I need to start the first part of it, which is the pickup part. So it starts the pick up or drop off module, which then will check what has the designer specified to me. Does the designer care where this is spawned? Do they want it at a locker? Do they want it at an item pod? If they don't, it will choose randomly. So let's say they go, okay, I want it to be picked up from a item pod, which is essentially what you know as a shelf. The item is spawned on a shelf and it sits there waiting. When the player interacts with the item and picks it up, it sends a callback back to the pickup or drop off and say, this item has been retrieved. The pickup or drop off goes, my job's complete, let me
Elliot is people talking. Oh
tell
my
the
god.
round delivery. The round delivery then goes, okay, thank you for that information. I can now start the drop-off process because the box that I had been told to pick up has been picked up. It will then say, I'm going to boot the pick-up or drop-off again, but this time it will specify the drop-off process. Once again, taking into account anything that the designer specified, if they want it dropped off in a locker or at a shelving unit again. Say this time it's a locker, then what happens is it would boot up a completely different module.
There are 3 people there, and Elliot's talking the whole time.
Of the delivery locker. Then that will send the request to the delivery locker and say, hey, delivery locker, you're going to expect X item from X person. The delivery locker then waits. When you put it in the delivery locker, the delivery locker will verify that the item is the one that was actually asked for you to be delivered. And then it will once again send an event back up to the pickup or drop off going, hey, I've got the right item. That'll go, cool, thank you. Send that up to the round delivery. The round delivery will go, well, that's my box gone. I've finished. I'm going to send this up to the initialized delivery loop. The initialized delivery loop goes, that's 1 out of 3 now delivered. It will then repeat this process for the other 2 boxes that can be done in any order. Then when that completes all over together, the initialized delivery loop will go, cool, all of my things have been finished. I'm going to send it up to the multi-stop. The multi-stop will then go, that's my mission over. Complete, you get your money. And it's as simple as that. The reason we set this up like this is because it allows us to quickly plug pieces in.
Lars just
For example,
leaves.
the prison mission had to expand on the delivery system to allow you to pick up from a corpse and drop off to a satellite as a sort of upload function. What this means is we didn't have to create another delivery module to do that specific process. We created 2 ending modules of pick up corpse and upload data. Those live at the end. So after the pickup or drop off has run its course, it would just pick those 2, which means we don't have to add specific functionality to the entire module all over. It only has to be at the end.
That's cool. Hold on. What was that? What Elliot has presented here is an overly simplified version of the modular system for delivery missions presented in a single unrehearsed take. He clearly left a bunch of stuff out, so the system should be considered as simplistic as presented here. Okay. I mean, he also used the most simplistic system, right? Which was deliveries. And just for a note, like, Elliot is huge into delivery stuff. Like, loves delivery missions. That was ridiculous, though.
So I guess you really want to hear about some of the new stuff. So let's talk about salvage modules. The salvage module is currently a singular module, and what we have done is allowed for a bunch of functionality.
The most simple version is you get a contract in your mobiGlas given by a company that has salvage rights. You accept mission in a mobiGlas.
Oh,
and then
hold on. I actually want to read all this. So right now it's like super simplistic. It says job. And the guy who made these missions is in chat right now. It's Poet. That's Lars. Claim number, ship salvage rights. Salvage ship at Corel 1. Okay. Rest of new salvage claim are available. Exclusive rights to ship verified coordinates, spawner space. As long as it's pretty simple.
Has salvage rights.
That's
you accept
how it's
mission in a
spelled.
mobiGlas, and then it's going to give you a piece of salvage, and it says, well, we have a piece of salvage for you, and it's located at this Lagrange point.
The player is shown a location where a shipwreck can be found. So they make their way there, and it could be that another NPC is there salvaging already.
So
Or
you
you could
obviously
have
kill
an
them.
illegal variant of the mission where you have to go there and salvage.
Risky ship salvage job. Salvage ship at the asteroid surrounding Yellow before security arrives. Estimated time before security arrives. Time. Those are from the tar pits. We've got our eye on this on the ship that's right for salvaging. We're too busy to snag it ourselves. Why not spread the wealth, right? If you send us some credits, we'll send you the ship's location. Don't take too long. Oh, how much did we pay? I wonder. You've probably got about timer minutes until security gets there to check out the wreck. If you're fast enough, you can get in, get your haul, and get out without shot fired. Not a bad deal, right?
Everything quickly before another player that has the contract legally shows up.
But there's going to be a timer on screen of whenever the legal owner of that salvage is going to appear, which can end up in enemies arriving because he calls them in. We've made several submodules that allow to work with it. So the first one is spawn ship waves. So it's going to be a wave-based module that allows the designer to define what the waves are like exactly, and then they show up. And another module that we've been making that we're actually quite proud of is a chicken ship module. And that's a ship that shows up and then is either going to attack you or try to run away. And if you scare it off by either damaging it or taking too long, it's going to try and jump away. And if it does so, then it allows the designer to define what's going to happen then. So the most basic version would...
Oof. any mission that has had NPCs QTing has never worked. At least never worked well. Or they just kind of like disappear. Service beacons, things like that. Those always make me nervous. It worked on my machine, yeah. The classic
He's going to
CIG
call
line.
his friends. They come in, and then all of a sudden, it's not you and a vulture against another vulture. It's going to be you against a retaliator bomber and 4 arrows, and you're in trouble.
Yeah,
Now,
okay.
the other option is like, okay, if you destroy it, then what happens? So we have the option of like a Carrick arrives because the company is like, well, we haven't heard from Bob in an hour. We're going to
Where's Bob?
send like someone else to do the salvage, but maybe something happened to him. We're going to send something bigger. Or you basically warded off the defenders and you're now safe to salvage at your own leisure.
This kind of modular approach will allow other designers to come up with whatever they want when it comes to building missions. There could be a number of possibilities. It is only limited by their imagination. All of these sort of modifiers and options are there to sort of allow us to create different types of gameplay or different experiences with very little changing of the logic. It's a lot of just changing different properties on what's called a mission record.
Another mission module that we're working on that hasn't been revealed yet is package extraction. So it's a mission where the Ninetales have taken over another Crusader platform, and they have gotten their hands on some highly valuable Crusader prototype ship components. So Crusader really wants them back before they fall into the wrong hands. And as a result, they put out a contract, and many players all around Crusader are tasked with going to that platform and handing it to the Ninetales.
Many players.
Essentially
Okay.
getting back the prototype ship components before they can be flown off-world.
One thing we've been playing with is that we hooked it up to the bounty modules that already exist. So we
Would they be
fire a bounty
competing?
module where the player goes to a location, they kill a ship, and then we kick off a salvage module, all in one mission. So the player goes there, kills the ship, and then instantly their objectives are like, and now harvest it. And then that's the completion of the mission. So at the moment, mining missions are on pause while we wait for resources from other teams, but in the meantime, we will continue to develop
No! Seriously? Oh, that sucks.
salvage missions, mining missions, and the overall scope of resource collection missions. So, you could hopefully see your wildest imagination of resource collecting missions come true. A reasonable expectation of resource collection missions in the future. So the biggest virtue of this is it allows other designers like Guillaume from Montreal or Sam from the EU locations team
Sam!
to go in
We
and be
love
able
Sam.
to piece together their own custom mission.
We just send them, once a mission module is finished, all the questions that they need to fill in for this.
Their designer can go to Dave Fudge, select a mission, modify a few properties that will change the behavior of the mission, whether it's the type of box they're delivering or what enemy they want you to kill. All of these modules are intended to be stitched together in easy ways to be able to create completely new bits of content so that the content expansion
Pause. Oh, is this the thing?
intended to be stitched together in easy ways to be able to create want you to kill. All of these modules are in select a mission, modify a few properties that will change the behavior of the mission, whether it's the type of box they're delivering or
What am I looking for? Read the fields. Help, my Pico was stolen. Hi, I'm Burks. Not Captain, just Burks. I was once known as an ace pilot, but I was defeated by SaltEMike in a ship-to-ship combat. So now I just hide in my outpost, but recently my Pico was stolen, and I need you to go and find it for me. That's right. Burks just Burks now. No more Captain. You've been demoted. I'm glad people still remember that. Which one of you did this? That's funny.
what enemy they
Now they're gonna keep playing. Now they're gonna keep playing into the we work there thing.
they want you to kill. All of these
That's
modules
awesome.
are intended to be stitched together in easy ways to be able to create completely new bits of content.
I don't know if you guys know, but in Fight or Flight, the first ever Fight or Flight tournament, I killed Captain Burks in the first round, and we made it all the way to the finals without a single death, and nobody believed that I would have had any success, and I didn't really have any. I just had a really good partner, and he carried. It was great.
So that the content expansion can be huge.
And this is really important
That's
for when
awesome.
you try to build a game of the scale of Star
But
Citizen.
obviously, I saw
They
it
could build a
before
mission where-
because all of you guys wouldn't. Everybody tweeted, everybody Discord messaged me, all these things. Burks' reaction I saw, so I was kind of stuck with it. I didn't know where it was though.
You go
'cause
to
I
a
only could
location
hear
to
it.
do
I
and
couldn't see
eliminate
it on my
all,
phone.
and
It
as
was
you're
too
arriving
small.
there, there's a bounty target in the sky you have to take out first. As you go in and manage to kill them all, they use the item dispenser we use in Jumptown and Korea to spawn an item that when the player picks it up, it then starts a delivery mission.
That's the real win of thinking modularly. So
All right,
that
going
was
forward.
a little look behind the scenes of what we do in the mission feature team.
The mission feature team consists of more than just the people you see here. We have a much bigger team that are building these behind the scenes to be able to bring you this new content, these new functionalities, and also help our designers internally to be able to also deliver the same thing.
This is only a fraction of things we have worked on and are working on. Obviously, as more systems come online, we are going to start making more and more modules. Salvage and mining were the most recent ones, and we've worked on those. Crafting is coming soon, so we're going to probably make some modules with that.
And we're going to continue to make more and more mission modules and more things for you to play and enjoy.
Thank you very much for letting us tell you what we do. We're hopefully making everything you like, and yeah.
Yeah. That was like so far definitely just like more back behind the scenes stuff. Now I just hope we see a lot more of this in the near future and we get more variety. That is my biggest knock on the Star Citizen missions is their incredibly repetitive nature.
I don't know what else to say.
Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode of Inside Star Citizen.
You won't see. I'm not in the next episode.
I'm not in the next episode.
You just said you were. So, what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that modularity is what allows for the work of one mission to be carried over and utilized in a variety of others.
Yeah, Lars, you
that it
killed it,
allows
dude.
for the relatively quick construction
you
and
notice
iteration
those
of missions by
little
designers
things
from
about
all
you.
over
Nobody
the
else
globe.
does.
That it is ultimately what is allowing us to currently add gameplay quickly and efficiently to new locations like the underground facilities, building interiors, and even the upcoming pyro system. And that new modules are being created along the way, like the salvage and mining parts of resource collection, as well as the investigations we've discussed previously. And just to touch on Alpha 318 once more, the team continues to tackle the troubles that have plagued launch since Friday, and you'll find continuing updates as needed at the robertsspaceindustries.com website. Now, stability has been steadily returning all week, with more and more people being able to connect in and stay in for longer durations after that. And there's been a number of absolutely critical fixes that only became known and necessary thanks to you all showing up and stressing the ever-loving hell out of the new Entity Streaming Foundation for the Persistent Universe in ways that
And like I was trying to reference earlier, the only way for that to have to happen is basically them pushing it to live, sort of knowing that it was going to cause a lot of issues and not really caring. And I think people are taking that as like a bad thing, but you kind of have to do what you have to do. And I like anybody who thinks that they push to live going and knowing it was going to be a bad experience and is mad about it. I like see where you're coming from, but at the same time, if this is the way we get a better game long term, then that's what they have to do. And
frankly, we never could on the PTU. So thank you, thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
And thank you to all the...
Sorry, I guess I jumped in a little early when Jared said that we could not do on the PTU. So essentially taking live I was really like, here's the deal. I was super excited for 318. A wipe was coming. I was excited to play the game, like jump in game, daily driver, sort of for a little while type of video, like actually play it as if it was a video game. And this totally put a wrench in that completely. And that sucks. But I'm not going to get mad at them making the choice that is the overall better choice for the game going forward, for my own selfish reasons, right? I'm hoping, for my own selfish reasons, that 3.18.1 is a rewipe, and we just start fresh from there. Essentially, it's a complete wipe for me because my main account has never made it to the menu, so it doesn't even matter, right? Like, 3.18.1 is the wipe for me because all the accounts that I would play on anyway, whether it's my Zero to Hero account or my main account, never was able to get into the game, so it doesn't make a difference. So it's start from scratch for me anyway, and I'm just going to leave it there. So I just think that they made the right choice. And if they have to do this again in the future with server meshing, I'm 100% for it,
Developers who never appear on camera because, frankly, they're just too busy. It's been a frustrating week for everybody, but I'm also really proud to stand here and represent those who are working so hard to do right by the community and this project. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thank you for watching. Keep an eye on the website for all those Alpha 3.18 post-launch details, and we'll see you all here next week.
Yep. All right. Well,
The last time I was in front of a camera, it seemed like really artificial, and it was difficult to talk to the camera. It felt like it was just judging me, whereas with you guys, I feel like I'm more having a conversation. Do you know where mission logic comes from?
No.
Well, the earliest record of logic that we have in our world started with Aristotle, right? He wrote this book that we translate nowadays as The Instrument. And he was preoccupied with stuff like Socrates is mortal. All humans are mortal. Therefore, wait, did I mess that up? I said Socrates is mortal.
Nope, that's it. You had one chance.
That's funny. But yeah, I mean, that was ISC. Again, I think it's more of like the behind the scenes back end stuff and not as much of how this will affect us necessarily just yet. I think we'll start seeing these missions. Well, I know we'll get more on the salvage missions and the mining missions at some point in the future. And that'll be more of like my exciting moments, like those, the mining update that we got recently. Like that's my sort of content. But still really exciting because this is something that obviously all of us need. And I just hope we see a less repetitive mission system going forward from this point forward, for sure.